economy of the country. There was lack of commodities. You can see during the Civil War, it was, after the Civil War, it was really, they picked up the pace, and when during the Cultural Revolution, you saw the GDP plummeted and industrial production plummeted because there was no private participation. It was just the government driving, and the government's attitude towards private sectors caused a lot of problems for people to work with. So there was a huge crash during the 1960s. Then in the later 1970s, 78, there was the change in aspect economic reform. Now the previous chairman has been out of power, and then two other chairmen have been out of power, and this is the third person. Then he came to power and said, to get rich is glorious. So the whole aspect of the political framework changed. And after that, whatever happened, as you heard from the previous lecture, the main ideology that they used was called an inverted U system, in which instead of investing in areas which don't have the potential to develop, you invest in areas which already have the infrastructure, like Shanghai, Taipei, whatever already existed as a city, already existed as infrastructure. So you see that there's an inequality rise as soon as the system starts. But there was, this is a hypothesis, this is not yet fulfilled, but you can see that there is a lot of developments between other parts of the country. But this was the plan. So you invest into the developed areas of the country, pump in as much money as you can and make that develop. So over a period of time it saturates, it spills over the other areas, it spills over the country, and it was perceived that this is the only way to get, this is the best way to get to a country which is equal rather than making equalization at the starting point. So with this thought process, all the investments in the economic zones and the export zones, everything started off after 1978. According to me, the greatest achievement of the Chinese government is this. You have 30 cities which are over 1 million population in China, which are very well known, everybody knows about it. But there are 375 cities which are less than 200,000 population. There are a lot of cities. One I came across called Delft. Delft. It's called a socks city. Do you have any clue how much socks they are producing in a year? Just a guess. Just a guess. 9 billion socks per year, and it's more than a socks for every individual in the world. Even if you give every person a socks, there is 1/3 left. And this city, even I searched in Google, you don't get a single image of the city. Because it's a part of the drive. That's where China is. It's not in this area. This is the international exposure that China gains, but that's where China is developing. That's where the control of the government is, and that's where all the development is. There's a sock city, there's a button city, there's a tie city, there's an underwear city. Every city is around each other and self-supporting itself, but they don't come under the radar. But they are the major pushing. As I said, the sock city produces 9 million socks a year. More than all the humans in the world. So that's the major achievement of the Chinese government that no other place has seen. So what does the government do? You have a city developing, a small city which is developing, it goes to a certain stage, then the government steps in. It doesn't allow the development beyond a point. It safeguards its urban areas, as in it says densification to a level, but after the densification level has reached, it removes all the industrial settings inside the city and asks them to move out of the city. They push the industries out of the city into the surrounding rural agricultural areas. So the cities move out into the rural area. There is a lot of social tension happening in there. But this is Shenzhen in 1980, which was like 30,000 people population. Now it is this, more than 12 million people population. How it happened that it's right behind Hong Kong, and all the saturation of stuff in Hong Kong is landed here, and they started developing it. And this became a huge major city in current China. This is one quote I came across in a document that I was reading, where it said that Chinese people are Chinese peasants, as in, according to from the previous lecture, when the Republic Party came to power, the peasants were given the right over the land. So whatever land they were cultivating is their ownership. So the peasants own the land, but in the urban areas, the government owns all the land. The peasants are ready to give up their agricultural land in order to a factory to come. And they are ready to work in a factory, but they are not ready to move inside the city. They want to stick to the place where they belong, and they are ready to accept whatever development that's happening around those areas. This, if you have two cities in terms of, just as a comparison, the companies get pushed up, and the current development trend is the areas in between the two cities are the ones that are developing really rapidly, but they are the ones that are majorly contributing, like the SOC cities and the various underwear cities all over China. So these are the places where there's a concentration of development that's happening, and this is where China really lies. The major cities are a place where direct investment comes through. And as far as investment goes, whatever might be the investment in China, it always moves through a Chinese contact. It's not like a foreign international lands up in China and has a direct investment made in the ground. It always moves through contacts that link a family or a friend or a person who you trust. So it's always moved through a system of contacts. In Shanghai, you might be able to go and invest in it, but in real core development of China, you need to know Chinese counterparts who are doing that. So you contact them, they contact the people, and they contact the people, and so it's a chain of action that causes this development in a country-wide scale and gets back. So this is one other situation is these areas that I mentioned. They are not just factory areas; they are housing areas for migrants. Because the hookah system is now being relaxed. In 2003, there's a lot of relaxation happening in people entering the city and having a permit to work there and live there. But still, there is some amount of restrictions that are being imposed. So what happens is the peasants in these lands rent out their lands as an agricultural lands. They convert it into kind of migrant areas, living areas, where migrant settlers who cannot move into the city move into these areas and live for very cheap rates. This is one such picture I took it from a documentary. This is the space shared by two people, like 1 meter square of space, like the previous lecture she was mentioning. So decks and decks of these align the whole row, and it's just a 1 meter corridor that people walk through. These kind of developments are happening where the peasants are using their land to create economical input for themselves, as well as providing opportunity for the migrants to stay close to the city, since they can't really reach the core of the city. And the government's power, there has been a drastic shift in the central government's power. As in, initially, before the Cultural Revolution, before the opening of the gates, it was the central government which authorized everything that's happening in the country. But now they are trying to shift all their focus to the state government, where the provincial governments, where all the opportunities and all the creation of possibilities are done by the provincial governments. There are also, read in another report, where there are festivals conducted by these kind of state governments, small localities which don't stand in front of the GDPs of Shanghai, everything, like the SOC city. It's just to invite people who have been working in Shanghai and other developed zones, so they know how the system works, how the technology is, what the modern trend is. It's just like a festival